Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that I'm in the last stages of my deep dive into the Lenormand system. Yeah, the system that was originated in Germany under the name of the Game of Hope when translated into English, but was given the name of Lenormand when it was exported into France, and to increase sales, they added the name of Madame Lenormand, and it took off. And these decks are sold around the world. They're very popular. And so I've finally decided to try to get a handle on this system. Yes? And that's what I'm doing here. I'm exploring, I'm diving into, I'm increasing my skills, and hopefully your participation in viewing my stumbling through this system is benefiting you as well. Yeah, I really do think learning the Lenormand system is very beneficial for increasing our tarot reading skills as well. They're read very differently, but there are techniques, there are ways of seeing that can cross over, I think. And I feel that my tarot reading has grown because of my focus on this Lenormand system. So, I highly recommend it. If you have not dived into and really processed this system for yourself, I highly recommend it. I think that once you get a handle on this system, other similar systems like Kipper or the Sibylla or the Deste will come much more naturally and more easily after working with this. So friends, as you know, every week I lay out a spread, and I've been working with what I call my star spread. Other people call it different names, but I've got a spread already laid out for us. And before we get to the spread, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for doing those things that you do, for hitting the thumbs up button, for subscribing. They help other people find us, and we grow. So thank you for doing those things. And thank you for commenting. Those of you who leave comments are a blessing for me and all of us. So thank you for doing those things as well. And if you want a private reading from me, my online tarot shop has a web address and a QR code that gets you there. So at the very end of this video, there will be the QR code and the web address. You could either scan the code or enter the address by hand and go on over, take a look at what I have to offer. I'm here for you. Okay, friends? So I will do the following things. First, I will show you the spread. I'll tell you what deck I'm still using and the qualities of the spread you just saw. And then we will look at the spread once more and we'll start reading it together in very many different ways. Okay, friends? So let me show you this week's spread right now. Here it is. So friends, as I said, I call this the star spread. I've seen it called a 13 card spread. I've seen it called the Council of 13. There are a couple of other names I've seen, but for me, it looks like a star. And so that's what I call it. Yeah. And the deck you saw is a wonderful deck. It has two points that I think are a little problematic, but once you get your head around the system, they're not such a big problem. The first one is there are neither playing card inserts nor indications of the playing cards that are associated with each one of these cards, and I think that is important information. So since it's not on the cards, you kind of have to know it. So this deck I would not say is the best for a beginner to Lenormand. Better for someone who is more versed and has a memory, a sense of what the associations are. Another little problem is that the cards are a little big. They're not as big as a Ciro Marchetti deck, but they are a little big for me for laying out a grand tableau on a table the size that I have. Yes, I have a couple of fairly large tables. I've got a fairly large desk, but not one that's large enough, that's comfortable enough to lay out a grand tableau with this set of cards. But as you can see, it works well for the kind of spread we just did. It works well for a 7-card spread, a 9-card spread in a line. That's all okay. It's just laying out all 36 on the tables that I have make it a little bit awkward. Yeah? Other than that, cardstock is beautiful, artwork is beautiful, they're very clear. It's very easy to see what we're looking at on each of the cards, even though each of the symbols, the major symbols, have their own quirky take on the symbol. Yeah? For example, the skeleton key has a skeleton head on it, right? The moon has a big old honkin' pair of faces in it. Yeah? There's some, for some people, a little bit disturbing elements to the cards, but I think it's a phenomenal deck. I just love it. Yeah. So the name of the deck is called the Lenormand de la Luna. It's by Patrick Valenza. There will be a link in the description box below if you want to go on over to his shop and order the deck yourself. I highly recommend it. The one I got came in a tin, which is also wonderful. So unfortunately, this is probably the last week we're going to see this deck in this series. So get ready for the next deck. I've got another one already chosen. But as our grand hurrah for this deck, we've got a really interesting spread. And the way we read this spread is we read it, again, in several ways. We read it top to bottom, what's in our mind, what's in our thoughts, and the bottom is what we are standing on, what is our foundation. Yeah? The cards in line from the center card, which is our significator, those are our past. The cards to the right of the significator, which is the one in the center, are the cards for our future. And then if we look at the 9th card in the spread, which is up here for you, yeah, that is the recent past, and what it leads us to is in the lower right-hand side. And then in the lower left-hand side is unconscious or subconscious activity, and then the card on the upper right-hand side is what that leads us to. Yes, and then we'll read the 4 cards on top, the 4 cards on the bottom, the 4 cards on the right and the left later on in the spread. We'll read this spread in many different ways. Yes? So the card in the center, like I said, that is our significator. And many people, I included, when reading this spread for somebody else on a specific topic, will deliberately choose the card that represents that topic and stick it there in the center, and then shuffle the rest of the cards and lay the rest of the cards out 1 through 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah? And then the card in the center is 13, which was the significator, right? So that's how most people do it using this spread. I, however, because the question every week is so general, how can we live our lives more intentionally in the coming week? I allow the deck to choose the significator for us. And the significator that was chosen for us this week is significant and a little bit unsettling. Did you notice that? So friends, let me show you the spread again. Now that you know kind of how we're going to read this spread, take a look, see what you see, feel what you feel, and let's start reading it together. Here's this week's spread once more. Friends, you saw, starting at the top center card, which is not the significator, remember, it's just the top center card, we had the heart, then we had the sun, the bear, the rider, and then we had the crossroads, the coffin, the cross, which is the significator, the garden, the mice, and then we had the key, the fish, the moon, and then below was the anchor, right? And you know, if you know me, you also know that I like to get a general sense of the spread. What is the quote unquote vibe that this spread is giving off? Positive, negative, neutral. How's it hanging? So we start off at the top with the heart, which is positive. The sun is triple positive for me. So we got a full-on 4 positive right at the beginning. The bear is neutral. The rider is positive, which gives us 5, right? The crossroads are neutral. The coffin is neutral negative. So let's hold that off here on the side. Yeah? The cross is negative, which knocks off one of the positives. Yes? The garden is neutral. The mice are negative, which knocks off one more positive. The moon is positive negative, which knocks off that negative, the negative, neutral negative, right? Then we've got the fish, which are positive neutral. The key, which is positive. And then the anchor, which is positive neutral. So we've got 2 positive neutrals, 4 positives. Very positive spread, even with the central card being kind of a Debbie Downer, yeah? Sorry, Debbie. But yeah, we've got a downer card for the central image of this spread. And that's where we're going to start, yes? Now, I'm going to continue putting up the cards that I'm focusing on here, just so that you can see what we're talking about, right? Love this cross card. And for a card that's supposed to be very negative, that looks very positive to me. As a Roman Catholic, knowing the cross being the tool of both death and resurrection, because without the death of Christ, of Jesus, there is no resurrection of the Christ, right? And you see that cross is crowned, and there are beams, radiant light from the back. It looks like a very positive thing. It's a glowing, radiant, spiritual cross, right? Now, if we think of the game of hope, why is the cross negative? In the game of hope, your goal was to land on the anchor card, which is number 35. 35 is the anchor, 36 is the cross. So you want to get to card number 35. If you do, you win. If you pass it and end up on the cross, you're stuck there for a while. So it's like lose a turn card. Yeah? Now, it's not when you play the game of hope, what do? You lay out the grand tableau, actually. That's where we get that first idea. We lay out the grand tableau, and from 1 to 36, 36 being the entire number of cards, and you try to get from the rider number 1 to card number 35. But if you overshoot and land on 36, you're stuck. And you miss a turn, and then you get to try and roll your way back, and then back, and then back, to try to finally land on the anchor. Yeah, and then the first one to land there wins. So that's why the cross is a negative card from the game. And when we think of the game, there are also cards that allowed you to jump from one card to another. So in Lenormand, when we read those cards, we see a connection between those cards as well. For example, the man and the sun, the woman card and the moon, those were connected. There are several other connections as well. The birds jumped to Oh, I forget. Anyways, so I need to go back and double check that. But there are ways to jump from one card to the other, from one to the other, so there are still connections when reading Lenormand. Now, we don't really have any of those right here on the table today. Well, we have the ones that they would land, but we don't have the ones that connect to them. Like we have the sun here, but no man. We have the moon here, but no woman. Yes, we don't have the birds here. However, we do start off with the significator, and it's a cross. And we read the cross directionally. So it being right here in the center, we get all four directions of reading this card. But what is the cross? The cross for a Roman Catholic, for a Christian, is the symbol of the death of Jesus Christ. It's also the burden that Jesus Christ was forced to carry to the place where he was killed. Right? But it's also a symbol of spirituality. It's a symbol of the victory of the cross, we say, right? The victory over death, the victory of the cross. So all of those things are woven into this very complex card. Typically, it's read to mean things like burden, but also fate. There's also a destiny element here. You can get that kind of with that radiant light shining out from behind it. There's a spiritual meaning. Remembering that this deck was created in a very Christian context, right? There's the spiritual meaning, the spirituality of the cross, and yet it's a negative card. But because this is such a positive spread, and I got it, full disclosure, I don't believe in a specific destiny. I think there are things that we have placed on our journey through life, on the powerful flow of our individual intention that we are moving towards, certainly. But those things can change. We can decide on other things. Does that make sense? So we make our decisions about things that we want to experience in our lives, the jobs we want to do, the places we want to live, the vacations we want to go on, the kind of relationships we want to have. We place those things on our powerful current of intention, but they're not there forever. What do I mean? Once they're there, it's not like we are unable to make different choices. Yeah? Maybe we've placed this, what we think of as an exciting, adventurous job in our futures, and then we realize that we want to get married to somebody, and we want to have a nice, stable, beautiful home with children, and then we realize that, wait a second, that kind of job does not match the kind of life that I want to live now. And so, okay, so now I've got to give up these new dreams because I had that old dream when I was younger. But it doesn't work like that. Yeah, we're not forced to go anywhere that even though we've chosen to go there. We can make a different decision. That's why I don't believe that there's a fixed destiny. There's this purpose that is imposed upon us that we have to try and figure out and get done, right? The only purpose we have here in this physical universe and these beautiful bodies that we're co-creating is love and joy. That's why at the end of each video, I wish you those things: love, joy, well-being, pure awareness. Those are our purpose in life, in these physical bodies, in this physical universe. Everything else is our artistic creation. Yeah? And so, this card in the center of the cross, destiny, fate, it's the direction that we're going in. Right? It's direction of our evolution into the eternally evolving better selves of each one of us. Moving in the direction of doing those things that will bring us love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Moving in the direction of those things that will call us to evolve into the greater potential that we have. That's what that cross right up here, I think, is pointing us towards in this spread, even though it is a generally negative card. That first card is at the top, which is the heart card. Now, this card you see is a little bit gruesome. Yeah, you see the arteries and veins connected to the heart. Let me pull it up for myself so I can see it more clearly. You see but you also see what? We see a crown. On top of the cross there was a crown, and on top of the heart there's a crown. Now, we don't read these images like we would read a tarot card, right? We don't see this crown on this heart card changing the meaning of the heart card as compared to the heart card in a different deck which has no crown. Right? We read the heart as the heart. And the heart is a positive card. It's associated with the Jack of Hearts, which is a young male person who is attractive and friendly and likes to look out for the underdog, for example. You don't see it on the card, but there is the association with the Jack of Hearts. But what is the heart? It's the seat of our emotions, right? It's the seat of our feelings. It's the seat of love. We associate love, and a lot of our emotions are broken hearts as well, with the organ of the heart here in Western culture, and especially in the milieu in which the Lenormand was developed, back in the mid to late 1700s, right? So we've got this heart here. It's a beautiful heart. You see the flowers there. You see the crown. You see that the vein on I'm not sure if it's a vein or an artery, but there's a blood vessel that not only the ones that come out of the top, but there are blood vessels that feed the muscle of the heart, right? And you see that vessel running down the heart here, which looks like the plant which is growing flowers. Do you see that? How what would be a blood vessel on the outside of the heart, or just inside the heart, looks like the plant that's flowering, which is also very interesting. It's a beautiful, interesting, intriguing, a little disturbing because of the drops of blood, but vision of the heart. And what is the heart for us? It's the card of love. It's the card of joy, of the positive yes in the spread. Yeah? It's doing what we love as well. So what's on our minds is love and doing what we love, and enjoying the doing of the things that we love, and enjoying the love, and finding joy in love and love in joy. All of those things are so interwoven if fully experienced. And that's why I think this cross, because that's what's on our mind. And if we look at the cross directionally, the cards above the cross are pushed up, they're elevated. They are our destiny. Yeah? Our destiny begins with our love and our joy, bringing us this next card, which is the bear. Right? This bear, beautiful bear, with the plant in its hand. It's kind of like the King of Wands, if you ask me, with another crown on its head. A lot of crowns in this deck. And if I were to be reading this deck like I would read a tarot deck, which I am not, but I'm having a really hard time not doing it. I would see all these crowns in a line rising up to the heavens as this, and in the area of our mind as being our crowning, right? Our elevation, our destiny is, and what we're thinking about is our joy and our love, bringing us the bear, which is what? It's the animal of strength in Lenormand. A bear is a strong animal. It's a mammal, so it's also a very family-oriented animal. It protects its young. It hibernates in winter, so it knows when to rest and it knows when to use its power. It doesn't go out and attack the way some other powerful animals, such as the lion, might. It generally only attacks to defend itself or its cubs, or to get food when it needs food. And it generally eats pretty low on the food chain, right? It doesn't go out and attack other large mammals on land. It will eat fruits and berries and plants and fish, generally, right? It's not the hunter of other mammals, generally. So we've got this strength, this power, defensive, but generally not an attacker. And we get, what ideas do we get with bears? We get mama bear, right? The warm, strong, protecting mother. And we get the idea of the boss. The bear is high on the food chain, right? So the boss person. And traditionally the bear is for things like strength, supervisors, right? Bosses, male or female. Although it could also be a mother figure, a powerful mother figure. The large, I think of babushka, Russian babushka kind of mothers who are, very strong and big like bear, right? But we also have the idea of somebody or people who are supportive and cuddly. There's that cuddle bear idea of the bear as well, but I don't think we're looking at cuddle bears. I think we're looking at our strength. Our fate, what's on our mind is our love and our joy, which are intertwined, and enjoying what we do is what gives us our strength and our power in the world and our ability to do what we want in a very calm, inner strength kind of way. Not the strength of a boxer going out to fight, but rather our inner strength. Right? Does that make sense? And you see that bear there sitting in his, her, their power. Again, not saying that because this one is sitting, we have a more calm power than a bear in another card which seems like it's walking. That's not how we read Lenormand again. But still, it is a reminder that there's that calm inner strength here in this card. And what's below? What is our foundation? What are we standing on? Well, we're standing on, the first card here is the fish, our abundance. Yeah? And remember, at the time of the creation of this deck, there were two kinds of ways that people would often make money for themselves. I mean, there were the mercantile people that lived in the towns, but ways of creating new wealth, new abundance, were farming and fishing. We didn't have factories yet. This is way before the Industrial Revolution, where we would crank out new things in factories. If you made things, you made them by hand. Now, we had printing presses, but even that was a slow, laborious process at the time of the creation of this deck. So, when we think of the comparison between farming to create new things and fishing to get new things, the one that is the most immediate and the most apparently abundant is fishing, where you send your boat out to the water, you drop your net, you pick up your net the same day at least, and you're full of fish that you can come back and sell. So there's that idea of the water and also abundance with the fish card. And I love this fish card. I love that, especially I love that center fish with the tongue sticking out. I love the mask faces on these orange fish, which, I don't know, do they look like goldfish to you? Let me know in the comments below. But that one with the tongue sticking out is just too kooky and cool. I love that. Do you see the starfish underneath the fish down there? That's kind of fun. So we have the idea of moving through water. We have that idea of water, our soul, emotions are associated with the fish. But mostly we think of money, we think of abundance, and we think of resources, right? When we think of the fish. It's also associated with the King of Diamonds, which gives us a business person, an entrepreneur, an employer even. Now, different from the bear, which would be an immediate supervisor, the King of Diamonds would be the CEO or the owner of the store we work at, whereas the manager of the store would be maybe our immediate supervisor. You see? So that the King of Diamonds would be maybe in rank above the bear as supervisor. Right? So, but I don't see that as being part of our reading, because we're reading very generally. How can we, as a collective, all, whether we're housewives or house husbands, or we are working in the corporate world, or we're working in a university, some of us have boss supervisors and some of us do not, right? So, how do we read this card for all of us? And so we're moving towards more abundance and our more resources, our money, right? And that's connected directly to this card below it, which is the anchor. And what is the anchor? The anchor is that part of a ship that keeps it from floating off when we're trying to get our fish. It's the thing that keeps the ship in place when it's at port at night. And we go on land and we don't want our ship to go sailing off without us, right? So it's our stability. It's also a kind of burden. It weighs us down, but it also gives us stability. So the anchor card is generally things like our work, our stable routines, not the repetitive action of the whip, so much as the stability of our daily schedules, right? Our routines. I wake up in the morning, I have my coffee, I take a shower, I get in my car, I go to work, I come back. I mean, that's just one possible routine. But that kind of routine, not the doing the same task over and over and over, even though on a daily basis it might seem repetitive. It's not like doing the same task of operating a machine on an assembly line where we're doing the same task over and over and over and over again, right? Which is more the whip. So for us, we're looking at, with the fish above and the anchor below, we're standing on a foundation of stable resources, right? We're standing on a foundation of reliable money, reliable abundance, which may allow us to keep our minds on the more elevated ideas of the love and joy and appreciating what we're doing and finding our strength in doing that with the bear. Yes? And now we're going to start from our recent past. The spread is going in a much different way than I thought it would go when I laid the spread, and got ready to do this video. This reading is going in a much different way. So, just saying, sometimes it happens that way. We started off in the past with the crossroads. Here's the crossroads card, and let me look at this card here. Not my favorite crossroads cards in the world. Because both of these crossroads, it's clear it's a crossroad, not saying that's a problem. But I prefer a crossroad card that diverges clearly on the card. Okay, so it's diverging, but both roads seem to be leading in around the same direction, right? Just on two different sides of the mountain. And when we read the crossroads cards directionally, I like to see that one road leads to one card and another road leads to another card. And so I see these two cards as the choices. This card does not do that. They both lead up to the same card. If there were a card above it. There is no card above it in this spread, which is kind of good. But I love the figure walking on the road here. And that, look at which way should I go? You see that? I think that's so cool. I love the walking stick. I love the cape. It's just a beautiful card. Love the rainy clouds. Neither one of these paths look like very happy paths in this card. Just saying. But the crossroads asks us to make a choice. Do we take one path or another path? Do we take neither path? That's also a choice. Do we decide to turn around and go back? That's also a choice. This card, when we arrive here, we're going to have to make a choice. Even inaction is going to be a choice. And so that's what this card tells us to do. It tells us to make a choice, right? When? Now. This is the choices card, the decisions card in the deck. And doing it now. Putting it off will only make things worse. And it's interesting. Now, this card is associated with the Queen of Diamonds, which would be a financially well endowed woman, person in a female body. But again, I don't see that here. Even though we're moving into another diamond card with the coffin card. Love this coffin. Okay, love this coffin. Yes, I do love this coffin. I do love this coffin. Even though I usually prefer to see a coffin laid out horizontally, I do love this coffin because it does have a clear head and a clear foot. And we can read the card directionally, and we will read it directionally later on in this video. But what are coffins? They're where we put the dead bodies so that we can get them away from us and in the ground. But they're also where we put the dead bodies so that we can mourn and we can honor their lives before we put them in the ground and get them away from us before they start to decompose and become potentially a health hazard, right? They're also physical boxes. So if you're looking for something and you lay out a Lenormand spread asking where are my keys, and the coffin card comes up, it doesn't mean that you'll find them when you die. It doesn't mean that you'll find them at a funeral. It could be that they're in a box, right? It boxes things up. So generally the coffin here tells us about endings. It tells us about finishing, losing things. We lose people. That's a sign of having lost somebody. Mourning and the emptiness that is associated with the grieving of the coffin. It could also be stagnation. It could be ill health and death. But things could also be boxed up. But what I see here is that in the past, we've crossroads, coffin. We've chosen, now because this is in the past, we've chosen to end something in the past. Which may have freed us up to experience the resurrection of the cross, which is the significator card. Does that make any sense for you? Or maybe if not, maybe you've experienced a loss. Your choice has led to a loss of something in the less positive vein. And you're feeling the loss. You've felt the loss of something in the recent past. It could be one of those two things, I think, because we're reading to the collective. It's either that you have chosen to end something and that's cleared up space, or you've chosen something that has created a feeling of emptiness or loss of something, right, in the recent past. And then we move into the future. And the future, honestly, even now does not look all that bright. Yeah? We start off with the garden card. The garden card, which is a little creepy in this deck, although I love that the flowers have faces because we see that it's a card of social interaction. These flowers being outside in the garden are having a conversation. So we are reminded of the social networking community aspect of this card. Why is that related to the garden? Well, at the time of the creation of the Lenormands, sure, why not? The Lenormands, here's the back of the deck, just in case. I ended up holding the card this way, so I figured I'll show it to you. This is the back. Love the backs of these cards. Very Triunfo della Luna style. At the time of the creation of this deck, the garden was the place where people would gather to socialize. So that's what this card represents. It's our social networking. It's our community. It could be the people that we associate with for fun, or it could be the people we associate with for work. It's not the work, it's not the company as a functioning organization. Rather, it's the people we associate with and interact with, either for fun or for work or for our own personal, social, economic advancement. Because there's that idea here too of what? Social climbing is possible here. So we're moving into a time of social interaction and networking that leads us to the mice. And this definitely is not a nice card. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice card. The art is nice. I love the card. I love having this card, the art for this card in the deck. However, the mice are not a pleasant thing to find in a spread. Now, when you lay a grand tableau, you cannot avoid having the mice there, but you want it far away from you, or far away from any card that's related to your money, or your resources, or your house, or your health, right? And what are mice? Mice are little creatures, often come in packs. You see a bunch. There are four. There are four mice here coming into your house to do what? They eat our stuff, right? They eat our grains. They eat our food. They nibble away at things. They eat our cheese, of course. They also dirty things. They bring pestilence sometimes, the bubonic plague. They bring other kinds of disease, pathogens, insects into our homes, into our food storage areas. But they're also, well, they also eat away at things, right? They're also clever. Not clever in the way that the fox is clever in the Lenormand, but rather they are resourceful. And they can get into places that you'd never think a creature could get into. Yeah, they're like the octopi of the mammalian set, if you want to think of it that way. Yeah, they can squeeze into very, very tight spaces, places you would not expect anything to be able to get into. They will also eat away into the cupboards that hold our grain, right? So they're resourceful. They are clever. They are traditionally the card for what? For losing things, for undermining, for worries and problems as well, for a theft. Not the big theft of perhaps the fox, if you read it that way, but little theft, yeah? Little things being stolen away from us. Sometimes money, sometimes resources, sometimes other things can be stolen from us as well. But there's a persistence there also, and there's a resourcefulness. However, what we see here, we can read the mice directionally, and their butts are facing towards the social networking card of the garden. So, we're moving into a time where I think our social interactions are going to be sullied and dirtied, and maybe, problems will arise in our social interactions in the coming future. Which doesn't sound so good, right? But I think we have the potential to change how that happens if we make some other choices. So this spread is here to tell us, look, be aware that there might be some social dirtying, some problems arising within our social networks, and so be aware. We can navigate these waters if we allow ourselves to. We can keep out of it. We don't have to engage with the people when they're having problems, right? Maybe that's what we're being told, that there are going to be problems with the people around us, and so maybe we want to make another choice. Not act with them, not engage, allow them to work out their shit together, their mouse poopy stuff, their shit together, and stay away. We can make that choice, right? Now, we're going to look at first the past influences and what they lead us to. And the past influences are the sun card, right? The sun card. Lovely, lovely thing to be shining in at us from the past. What is the sun? It's the bright, warm light in the sky that gives life to this planet. It's creativity. It's energy. It's the triple plus card of the Lenormand set. And so, I love this card, with the sun dripping energy onto this Egyptian styled landscape with the water. We've got the Nile maybe there. Maybe it's the Nile. Maybe it's just an oasis, a small pond with palm trees. We got the pyramids. It's a gorgeous card. But the sun card in Lenormand is the card of happiness, success, and growth. A warm, radiant light in our lives. The beautiful things in life. Those are our past influences. The happiness, the growth, the new things the not necessarily the beautiful things, leading us to the key card. What is the key? The key is the thing that opens the lock, that gives us the answer. It can also lock things down. We put things in a box and we close the lid and we use the key to secure them as well, but they also open up the locks, right? And we read the key directionally. We don't have a card on the right, but we do have a card on the left. And we'll read that later. Okay, we'll read that later. But right now, the key is the card for success, for certainty. This is the answer. Yes, do this. Yeah? It will be this way. It's like an exclamation point to the spread. We want to be able to have the confidence that we have what we need, that we are what we need. And so our happiness, our success, and our growth with the sun leads us to success and certainty and feeling that and knowing that we have enough when we are enough, right? And so because of that, maybe we can circumnavigate the pooping on the madding crowd, right? The people around us who might be experiencing problems and worries, we're okay. We're walking forward with the sun at our backs and the key to success in our hands. And that might be the title of this spread, The Key to Success. I don't know. Well, let's keep reading. So then we go over to the bottom left-hand card over here, which is what? These are our unconscious motivations. And the unconscious motivation is the moon card. What is the moon? Well, that's interesting that we've got the past influences and the unconscious influences being these large heavenly bodies, right? The sun and the moon. And unconscious and the moon go hand in hand, right? The moon moves the waters of the planet. The moon moves our emotions. The moon gives us the idea of soul, right? Our dream life. It's also a card of intuition. Now, traditionally, the moon, which changes phases and rises at night, we see it rising in the night, right, is a card also of recognition and reputation. It's a card of rising success. For me, it's also the card for my heart business, whereas the anchor is my the work that I do that brings home the bacon. The moon card is the work that I do that brings me my joy, right? And they could be the same thing, but for me, they're sometimes the same thing. But when I think of, for example, using tarot, I think of the moon card. Not because the moon card is divination, but because it's my heart business, right? It's the thing I do for the passion and love of it. The teaching at university is the thing I do for cash money, my daily work, right? And I find joy there too. So it's not like you can't find joy in the anchor, but the heart job. And my mind just went somewhere I did not want it to go. But I love this moon card. Kind of gives me a little bit of moon in the tarot system vibes. We got the towers that are on the moon card, right? We got the water flowing like the moon card in tarot. The water also being a path. We've got the path in the moon card in tarot. Very interesting card. Patrick Valenza is very strongly rooted in tarot, and that comes through, I think, in his creation of this Lenormand deck. However, gotta say, the moon is what? It's our intuition, I think, here. Because this is what our subconscious and unconscious motivations are. It's our dream lives, our emotions, and our intuition rather than... It could also be our unconscious motivation for recognition and a good reputation. Could be in there as well. Leads us to this card right here being the rider card. What is a rider? Rider is one who rides in with messages, right? Rides in with information, news, faster than the letter. So the rider is news. I love this rider card. Notice the crown? I'm crown happy today. Love the wings of this. It looks like, I don't know, it's a kind of demonic looking angel, if you ask, cherub, if you ask me, because of the quality of the color of the skin and the color of the wings. It just looks like a little bit of a demonic cherub riding a very bird-like horse. Yes? I love Patrick's mind and what he sees and what he creates in his decks. So, our unconscious, maybe desire for recognition, maybe our emotions and our dream life leads us to the rider, which is news. Something jumping into our lives. Yeah, maybe something is springing up from the unconscious, from our emotions. Maybe we're getting unconscious messages. Maybe we're getting messages from our dreams. This might be a good time to pay attention to our dreams, because we're getting messages from them, yeah? Where we can get them from our dreams. That seems actually pretty accurate, yeah? So we want to pay attention to our unconscious motivations, which are our emotions, our intuition, and our dream life, and the messages that come from our dreams, that come from our intuition as well. That's what we want to give our attention to. That will help us with this key to our success. Does that make sense? So friends, we're going to, and remember this is all constellating around our moving in the direction of our self-selected, entirely mutable destiny. Right? The direction that we want to be moving in, the direction of our current of intention that we have self-selected. So friends, we're going to read this spread in another way. We're going to read the tops, the sides, and the bottoms, but before we do that, let me show you the spread once more so you get the image of how these things are laid out once again. Here's the spread. So friends, let's look at that cross. Let's think of that cross card once more. Yeah? When we read the cross directionally, the things above the cross are enforced, they're lifted up. So the things that are on our mind here are enforced and lifted up, right? The heart and the bear are strength. And when we read the group of 4 cards for our thoughts and what we're giving our attention to, that is what is being highlighted and enforced for us. Things that are below the cross are depressed. They're weighed down by the burden. And remember, those cards that were weighed down and burden were our abundance and our stability. And we'll give that some attention when we read those 4 cards. The cards to the left which were the past, they're the things that are stopping. And remember, the central card for those 4 cards in the past was the coffin. So there's that endedness, the stopping of things in the past, which is also highlighted by it being on the left of the cross. The things on the right of the cross, which were the future, those things are strengthened. And those things that were strengthened were the society and the mice. And we'll look at that strengthening when we read those 4 cards together as well. So, where are we going to start? We're going to... Now, let me know in the comments below if that made sense. Yeah? Because we're going to read the tops, the bottoms, the lefts, and the rights of this spread. The tops are again, they're raised up. They are our destiny even. The cards below are weighed down and they are depressed. The cards on the left are stopped, and the cards are the ended, and the cards on the right are enforced and made stronger, which was the future. So, let's start with the top. Let's start with what's on our minds. What are we looking at? And here are those 4 cards, right? We have the heart on the top, and below it, the sun, the bear, and the rider. The heart on the top, the sun, the bear, and the rider. And I just need to move my table a little closer to me again. What is that? What is being enforced? What is being lifted up? What is our destiny? Our destiny is love and joy and doing what we love. That is our destiny. That's the direction we're moving in. That is the yes of this spread. And that is enforced by what? The sun, yeah, our happiness and our success. What is that happiness and success? That is with the bear, right? The bear modifies the sun, which is strong, supportive, happiness and success. Yeah, our happiness and success and growth and the beautiful things in life are strong. And they lead to the rider card, right? The rider card on the left, there. And so they lead to messages, they lead to movement forward. They lead to things going smoothly. That's another meaning of the rider, yeah? Things go smoothly. So with the focus on love and joy and our success, we get happiness and growth and more success, and the beautiful things in life, they're strong. And they lead to things in life moving smoothly and maybe more rapidly, more rapid movement. And that's what our destiny is. That's what's on our minds, and that's what's being enforced by this spread. Now, what's going on below? Below, remember, that's the part that's being depressed, that's weighed down. Here it is right here. We'll start off with the 3 cards. They lead to our stability. So our stability is right now being, our work and our routines are being depressed, yeah? Why? We start off with the moon card. Yeah, the moon. Our reputation, recognition of us as being beneficial people in the world, maybe even doing the things that we love to do. There's an abundance of that with the fish card, right? It's an abundance of reputation, recognition, rising success. which lead to the key card, which is yes, success, certainty, which lead us down to the anchor of our work and stability and routine. All of that wonderful stuff is being weighed down right now. It's being squashed. Now, it's depressed, which is an interesting contrast to the love and joy and positivity that leads to strong happiness in our attention. So we're giving our attention to all of these wonderful things, but somehow the work that we're doing, the abundant work that we're doing that should lead to success and again to our to good, strong stability and routines, it's weighed down. And maybe it's because of the ending of what we're moving out of. And here it is. Here it is. Well, I'm going to put it over here. So here, in the past, right? In the past, what do we have? We have the sun card, we have the coffin card, we have the moon card, and leading over to the crossroads. Yeah? So we have our happiness, again, our success and our growth and the beautiful things in life. In the past, that there was an ending to that. There was a very, maybe a slow diminishing ending to that. Leading us to a sense of sorrow, maybe, of mourning of the ending of that, which led to the moon, which was that sense of mourning, that sense of emptiness invading our dream life and our emotions in the past. Making us need to, and that has come from the choices we made, right? Because we got that crossroads card. The choices that we have made have caused an ending and a diminishment of our happiness and our growth and the beautiful things in life, and those feelings of mourning and emptiness have invaded our unconscious and our emotions and the depths of ourselves, which has caused perhaps that suppression of the moon, the fish, the key, and the anchor. There's that weighing down, the burden on those things coming from that choice that we made in the past, or the choices we've made in the past. So what are we moving into in the future? Well, we start off with the rider, the garden, and the key leading to the mice, right? So the rider, so news, information coming in from our group, from our social network with the garden, right? So we'll get news from the people that we interact with our social group, our work group, the people we work with even. That leads to, that has some the key, success, that gives us some good answers, right? But those things will be sullied. They will be shat upon. And so even though the news, the information we get from our people is good, we don't want to be so wrapped up in all of that we allow the dirtying and the sullying of that group to affect us. We want to keep our minds on our individual success and joy and potential, moving in the direction of our own self-selected path of evolution. That is the key for our success, I believe. And sometimes, even though the news that we get and the information we get from our people is helpful and is good, we can extract that good information that is beneficial for us without getting wrapped up in the worries and problems of the group. Does that make sense? Take the cream and let the rest flow by. So in this week's spread, what I see is the key to success being our focus and giving our attention to our own individual joy, love, beauty, the beauty in our lives, wherever we can find that, giving our attention to that being the key to our success. And we want to be very determined, very clear, very deliberate in focusing on those good things in our lives and focusing on the joy and choosing the joy in our lives, choosing the love in our lives, rather than giving attention to the worries of the society around us. The giving attention to the worries of society around us are what is going to weigh down our success, our reputations perhaps even, but our success and the stability of our resources. And how do we live our lives intentionally anyways? We live our lives intentionally by opening ourselves up to the power of intention, and the way that that feels in our bodies is a feeling of optimism, of hope. And then as that expands, it leads to joy and love and pure awareness and a deep well-being. So profound that the niggling, worrying people around us cannot affect us. And that, I think, is the key to our success. Does that make sense? So, if we've got any action plan from this spread, which looks like it is good if we are able to circumnavigate what's going to be going on in the crowd around us, is to give our attention to the love and joy in our lives, the beauty in our lives, the strength that we get from that. And listening to our dreams, listening to our intuition, but also listening to our dreams. If you dream, allow yourselves to find the message, the information from that. And allow the happiness and success and growth of our past, because we have grown, to lead us in the direction of our success. That is the key to our success. So friends, if that makes sense to you, let me know in the comments below. If it does not make sense to you, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And friends, in just a moment, the QR code and the web address for my online tarot shop will appear right before your eyes. Take advantage of those. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.